What's the difference between burden of proof in civil law and criminal law cases? In civil cases, the plaintiff has the burden of proof by proving their case by a preponderance of the evidence, while in criminal cases the burden of proof in a criminal trial gives the prosecutor a much greater burden than the plaintiff in a civil trial. The defendant must be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Penalties in criminal law are much more harsher, with serving 10 to 100 years in prison, while in civil law the punishment is payment. Criminal law has arrests, warrants, bail, while civil law has contracts, property, family, relations, and civil wrongs. In criminal law, defendants' rights include the right to fast and public trial by an impartial jury, to be aware of the criminal charges, to confront witnesses during the trial, to have witnesses appear in the trial, and the right to legal representation. In civil law, the defendant's rights are the right to an attorney and the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. In both civil and criminal law, the courtroom what group is the judge, the prosecutor, the defense, victims, defendants, witnesses, law enforcement officers, court support staff, corrections officers, and the public.
There is many types of cases that fall under civil law. A contract is an agreement that specifies certain legally enforceable rights and obligations pertaining to two or more parties. A contract typically involves consent to transfer goods, services, money, or a promise to transfer any of those at a future date. Family law is the area of the law that deals with family matters and domestic relations. A tort is a civil wrong, other than breach of contract, that causes a claimant to suffer loss or harm, resulting in legal liability for the person who commits the tortious act.
Tort law serves at least three purposes. It facilitates compensation for injuries resulting from wrong conduct. It can deter persons from acting in ways that may produce harm. And it can provide a way of punishing people who wrongfully injure others. The difference between a tort and a criminal infraction is that criminal infraction is not concerned with the individual victim, while the law of tort provides a way to compensate victims of wrongful acts. An intentional tort is a type of tort that can only result from an intentional act of the defendant. Negligence is the failure to take proper care in doing something. Strict liability is when a defendant is liable for committing an action, regardless of their intent or mental state.
The Tennessee Rules of Evidence and the Federal Rules of Evidence are largely similar in structure and content, but they differ in certain key areas based on jurisdictional nuances and precedent. Both sets of rules govern what evidence is admissible in court and how it must be presented, but Tennessee interprets some rules uniquely based on state case law. The Tennessee Rules of Evidence is more restrictive in admitting character evidence in civil cases, while the Federal Rules of Evidence allows for broader use of character evidence under certain exceptions.